The last time Emil saw Leah was a Sunday, and that Sunday morning he wished he could have just pulled the blanket over his face, as he'd done so often when he was still sleeping on soft beds. But he remembered the train journey that still lay ahead of him and quickly got dressed, his head bowing down low as not to bump into the ceiling above him. And the tiny sink, he washed his hands and face, checked the time and decided not to take a shower. Instead, he stared blank into the mirror. With the backpack between his legs and a bunch of flowers in his hands, Emil was sitting on a shady bark bench, admiring the fountain. Even though it was still early, the sun was burning bright in his tired eyes, and, closing them for just a moment, all he could think about was to kiss Leah just one more time, or to simply be quiet together and sit. They would talk about how they had met just a few days ago and everything that happened in between, and what might still happen in the future. And maybe Leah would even ask him to not take that train, to stay a little bit longer, or he would ask her to travel with him. And what if I don't take that train? He questioned. I mean, what would that even cost? I paid 20 for the train reservation. Then I already got the hostel at 25 per night at 7 nights, at 175 plus the 20, that would be 195. Then, of course, I need to get a hostel here, right? So since it's kind of last minute, that'd probably be more like 30 per night at 7 nights is 210 plus the 195. And what is all that money even worth compared to spending one more week with Leah? He checked the time. There was still an hour left until he had to take that train. Where is she? And what if she doesn't come at all? I mean, she wouldn't forget. We just talked about it yesterday evening. And if she wouldn't come, I mean, it would make things so much easier. It'd be so much easier to just take that train and run away into new life, new friends, new city. Not having to worry about this. And but I would really like to see her again. Just one more time, to say goodbye. Anything. Just nothing in between. No slow goodbye. No endless texting back and forth that slows down and leads to nothing. But who knows? Maybe she'll even bring her backpack when she comes by. The flowers smelled sweet in his nose, and the dark blue blossoms had a calming effect on him. Looking at them, he just hoped the gesture wouldn't be too big, giving a girl he just met a few days ago these flowers. And his thoughts started to wander, questioning why he even was on this journey. Why move from city to city? Was it even that I'm looking for? I wanted to meet new people, understand how they enjoy their lives and what they do, but above all, I wanted to figure out what I enjoy, how I wanted to live my life. Did I get any closer to that? Not really. I met a bunch of people and heard a lot of stories, but nobody seems to be really happy. Seems to have it figured out. Instead, I'm exhausted going through all this pain of constantly trying to find a place to eat and to stay, getting lost and wandering in foreign cities. I mean, it's easy to be romantic about that, but it only sounds good in the stories. It's not really fun living it. There are these good moments where wandering through the streets, just turning into any side street because it seems interesting, being able to decide when and where I want to eat, not needing to care about anybody else, just doing my own thing. But what is that experience even worth when I can't share it with anyone? What's the point of all this happiness if I just keep it for myself? Isn't it almost more fun to tell her what happened than to live it myself? Dancing freely in the dark room with the bass beating in my chest, but dancing around her, succumbing to her gaze. I love feeling beautiful, but even more so, I love being beautiful for her. To share this with somebody, it gives everything so much more meaning. So I asked myself, why keep going? Exploring the depths of Europe, going from city to city, and they don't even interest me. Why sleep alone in a bunk bed surrounded by loud snoring? Why cook if I'm the only one who's going to eat it? And doesn't the freedom to travel also include the freedom to stay in one place? I force myself to do these things because they're hidden from others, not because I enjoy them myself. When I talk with friends on the phone, I hear the envy in their voices. Travelers having to turn around, go back home for their studies or their work. They wish they could travel endlessly like me, be free, but they only know their short vacation, the 1 week at the beach. It's not the same as living as a stranger in the unknown. Sure, maybe they know it a little bit, but a week is not a life. Yeah, they're just dreaming. They don't know what really lies behind it. But I've been dreaming as well for a long time, standing behind the bars, just looking. And now the door is wide open. And I'm doing that, just standing, not using that opportunity, smelling the fresh air of possibility and dreaming. But why not cross that doorstep? Why not use that opportunity? And is it wrong to just use that opportunity because I can, because I wasn't allowed to before? So why not use this freedom for more of what I enjoy, what I like? And I loved spending these days with her, and I would give up anything for them not to end. So, I could keep traveling with her. I could go to her hometown with her, maybe even move in with her. I could save some money by settling down again, like I'd done for so long. But it wouldn't be the same. We wouldn't be traveling together like we're doing now. She would have to go back to work and has their friends there already, and I'd get so bored. I hate being the one that's always brought along. Yeah, maybe I could learn some French or make some friends of my own, but it just wouldn't be the same. Why don't we just travel together then? Sure, her money's all gone now and mine's barely enough for myself, but if we get a room together and cook together, we could really save some money. And if that's not enough, I could just work more, and I'd be willing to give up all my free time just to spend that little rest I have left with her. What I'm still hesitant about is how is she going to react if she finds out that I'm willing to give up so much for her? How could I just let that choice fall into her lap? How could I do that to her? And wouldn't that ruin what I love about her? Isn't it the birds flying free through the sky what makes them so fascinating to us? Isn't it not being able to lie in them what makes the clouds seem so fluffy? And even if I would like that life, isn't that exactly what she's running away from? So I guess that's it. I'm not going to go home with her, and she's not going to be traveling with me. Letting something so beautiful just fall, not trying to catch it, drinking the coffee before it gets cold, and leaving the party before the music stops. And is our goodbye going to be lasting forever? Should I just throw away the note where she wrote her number down for me to let it all be memories? Do memories even have a value? A value for me so great, I'd rather not overwrite them with the terrible memory of rejection? I'd rather lull myself in ignorance, thoughts will remain so, and beautiful dreams of what could have been, wonderful memories of only the good, of a time when she knew none of my mistakes, filling all the gaps in my knowledge with the gold of imagination, creating a deity. On my best days, even pulling imperfections out of thin air just so she doesn't lose her humanity, to give her some realism. Arguing with my thought creation, just be able to make up again. So we could live like that, and she could be with me always and everywhere. For ever long I want. Sit with me on the train and listen to me. Lay with me in bed when I can't sleep, gently stroking my hair. And I would paint her. I would dedicate all my paintings to her. And when my own desire drags me into my grave, then at least the last beat of my heart will be filled with dreams. Who am I to destroy this? And with what motive? For what benefit? Certainty? What is certainty? Tiny chance of bringing reality closer to my perfect fantasy? And I've never been someone who risked a lot. Never somebody who gambled much. And if I did, never somebody who gambled for much. I'd rather lose nothing than win everything. And yet, kissing her just one more time, that will fade. Won't everything just become normal at some point? A millionaire always wants to become a billionaire. And let my love for her just sink away, back to wherever it came from. Who do you even think you are? You're just a girl. I've kissed others, and I'll kiss others too. I've had intriguing conversations with others, and I'll have intriguing conversations with others too. You're just a girl from that one weekend in Granada. So many weekends on my journey, and you think you have such power over me? Can burn yourself into me like that? Can make me question everything? Can take me away from my journey and capture me, and you think you can make me happy? Oh, I'll still be sad. I'll even be sad when I'm with you. I'll be hungry, I'll be tired, and I'll burn myself on the oven steel. Have to earn money to survive and wash dirty dishes and be in line at the supermarket. You're just the perfect girl who... Emil saw her outline in the distance, and it snapped him out of his thoughts. He adjusted his glasses just to make sure it was her. Leah's step was sluggish, and the unfocused look suggested a night without much sleep. When Leah recognized him, her mouth couldn't suppress a timid smile. Emil walked towards her, one arm stretched out in a welcoming hug, hiding the flowers behind his back. Despite the heat, her embrace was tight, and she hugged him, and her body lay on his chest with a heaviness that shot into his heart. He closed his eyes, and his whole face relaxed. All the burdens, worries, and fears left him, and made room for just a single thought, to hold her a little longer. For that 1 second it was quiet. He could hear none of the voices in his head. Couldn't hear his mother asking him why he didn't empty the dishwasher yet. Couldn't hear his father asking him to finish his food. Couldn't hear his boss asking about the progress on that project. Couldn't hear that voice demanding to do something, anything but rest. For that second it was quiet, and he could feel her back rising and falling with every breath she took. Her warm cheek pressed against his neck. And with his eyes still closed, he didn't see the usual darkness, but a vibrant, glowing red. She let go of him, and his thoughts fell back into the world of reality, thoughts racing through his mind. And he held out the flowers to her to break the silence as quickly as possible. But she didn't react, just looked at him. He was afraid that gesture would have been too big. He would have preferred the whole idea never even entered his mind. And for me? Leah asked. She took the flowers, looked at them for what seemed like eternity, smelling them again and again. They smell so good. No one's ever given me flowers before. Really? Emil couldn't quite believe her and felt a little sorry for her. Everyone should have at least once in their life received flowers. Sorry I took so long, said Leah. Want to sit down in a cafe, baby? I know a place just around the corner. Sure, I'll follow you. They walked through the narrow streets in silence, staying close to the wall where the tall houses threw their shadows on the ground. This day would be as hot as the last. And every now and then they interrupted the silence to show each other beautiful things, parts of the facade, plants on the balconies, or little birds. Around the corner there was a small cafe with chairs on the sidewalk, and Emil remembered Paris. Every now and then, cars too big would speed past the chairs, bringing a certain rush into the conversation or causing unintentional silence until they disappeared into the next street. And when no cars were passing by, a bicycle rattled over the cobblestones, or people in fancy clothes shouted into their phones as they hurried past the tables around the corner. Nevertheless, Leah had leaned back and somehow made herself comfortable in that hard wooden chair. In Emil's eyes, she fit into the scene so well. Behind her, the decorated, bright yellow, blue, or red houses ran together, crossed only by the sharp shadows they cast on each other. And between them, an almost cloudless sky, so blue it hurt the eyes. Bed sheets or summer dresses hung from the windows and danced in the wind. I'm so glad we met, baby, in this life, Leah began. You're such a special person and I'll never forget you. So nice that we found the time to talk again before you're leaving. At first, Emil only uttered a thank you, overwhelmed by the compliment, but then he asked, Are you staying much longer? I think another week and then I'm going back home again. Where are you going today? Emil hesitated. With all the traveling he had done, he often forget things that were written down in his calendar. I think, to Valencia, Leah smiled. Any plans after that? You could come and visit me in Brussels sometime. I'd love that. That sounds beautiful. When? Emil asked so fast he almost interrupted her. I'll have to check. We'll just text, right? You have my number, replied Leah. Yeah, we'll do that. And they fell quiet again, looking down the street. When does your train leave? They asked. Oh, I still got a bit of time. The waiter came to the table and relieved them of the moment. Good morning, what can I do for you? Leah asked for a nice coffee and asked for cake. Yes, we have chocolate, carrot, cheese, and... Oh God, that's too many options. Just come in and I'll show you. Leah nodded her head. And what would you like? The waiter asked Emil. Just an espresso, please. Coming right up. They left Emil alone and he resisted the urge to check his phone. A sparrow hopped between the legs of the table and snatched crumbs of bread from the pavement. The little beak whisked around and Emil's thoughts began to wander. He imagined Leah would say, Why are you leaving today? Do you have somewhere to be, or can you stay for a few more days? There's still so much to talk about. We haven't fully explored the city yet either. There was this one bar we saw. I'd like to go there with you. And he thought that he could actually stay a little longer, wondered if that was what Leah really wanted. He heard her say again, Yes, that would be great. We could go dancing, drink lots more espressos together, and just stay here for a while. Emil questioned, And when you go back home? Surely you have to study or work or something. Maybe you could just come with me, move in with me. We would spend the evenings drinking wine on the side of the road, dancing the whole night, and the next morning have breakfast in bed. In the afternoon, we sit by the window reading and looking into the street, visit galleries, and talk about paintings we can't afford. The sparrow flew away again, fluttering and forcing Emil out of his thoughts. He turned around as Leah came towards him with a piece of carrot cake in her hand. Oh wow, that's a big piece, said Emil. Yeah, I haven't had breakfast yet. They went silent for a moment while Leah ate with a small fork. Then Emil asked, "Were you out much longer last night?" "I don't know. When did you go home again?" Maybe around midnight. We just arrived at the bar then, and Leah smiled. "Oh yeah, something happened. Did you meet Angus?" Emil had to think. He had met someone, a painter from New Zealand, or was it Australia? They had discussed briefly the best way to transport canvas while traveling. "Do you mean the painter?" "Yeah, exactly," Leah replied. "We talked a lot, and he was a bit pushy, but I couldn't resist. We walked through the city all night." Emil frowned. He didn't imagine Leo could be persuaded so quickly, but he kept his thoughts to himself and continued to listen. "I don't understand why I always do that. I meet someone, it goes well, and then I push them away. I promised Raphael that we would go home together, but then I just left him there." "And did anything happen with Angus?" Leah was quiet for a moment, and then she said, "I don't think so. Not really. We might have kissed a little, but I felt so bad that I went back to Raphael. He was already in bed sleeping when I got there. Didn't want to sleep alone, so we shared a tiny hostel bed, and from there I came straight to you." Emil asked, surprised, "You slept at his place?" "Yes, that's why I was so late. He was still in the shower for ages. Brazilians, right?" Leah had to laugh. Emil didn't really understand. "I thought you weren't interested in him. That's what you told me yesterday." Leah took another bite of the cake before she said, "I just do what I feel like in the moment. If I wasn't interested when we spoke, that must have come later." "And now?" Leah took a deep breath. "I don't know. Now I'm here with you." She smiled, reaching across the table for Emil's hand. "You're my soulmate. I'll never forget you. But you left so early yesterday." Emil looked her in the eyes and returned the smile. Leah's hair was wildly tangled, resting on her shoulders, which, despite its chaos, or perhaps because of it, had something beautiful about it. Emil liked her more this way, messy and tired. It gave him a feeling of trust that he was allowed to see her like this. Leah asked, "How much longer do you actually want to travel? Don't you want to go home sometime?" "I'm not sure what I'm even supposed to do at home." "Don't you miss your friends or family?" Emil put his hand to his chin. "It sounds wrong to say it like that, and I know I shouldn't really say it, but I don't miss anyone. Everything I like about home, I also have on the road, and at least there's always something new happening here. Crossing the same streets every day, shopping in the same supermarket, the same drink in the same bar. No thanks, I'd rather keep traveling." Leah nodded. "But being able to get a good night's sleep, no one coughing in your ear?" They laughed. "Yeah, that'd be nice, but then I'll wake up at home, make myself breakfast, look out of the window. Maybe I watch a video or listen to the news, but nobody tells me about last night. Nobody asks me the best way to get to the next town or whether we should go for a walk together." Leah disagreed. "No, I couldn't do that. I want to have some peace and quiet, not have to think about how to get home, just ask an old friend to come over and not have to introduce myself every time. It's just so exhausting." Emil agreed. He hadn't seen his friends for so long now that he'd forgotten to call them. "So you ready to go home again?" Leah sighed. "Yeah, don't get me wrong, be nice to travel a bit further, but I can go back now. I've learned to live like this, and on my own I can handle it." Fixing her posture, she continued, "I don't need anyone. I can decide all by myself what I want to do, where I want to go. I've overcome some problems. Before this trip, I was afraid of things going wrong, my phone being stolen, being lost in the city, missing a train, having no friends. But when I was in that situation, I always managed to get out of it. And now I face things much calmer. I know now that I can handle it, no matter what." Emil agreed with her. "Great, yes. I love this attitude of whatever goes wrong, I can figure it out, that you develop when traveling." Leah leaned back in her chair again. "Yeah, I think I can go home now." And what about Raphael and Angus? Leah had to smile. Oh, they'll manage without me, she said. Leah took another sip of her coffee and asked, but what else is out there? What's there you haven't found yet? After a little hesitation, Emil replied, I don't know, just more. More what? More of everything. More happiness, more friends, more meaning, more everything. He looked at him in disbelief. Oh, that's bullshit. Emil grinned. No, really. I just can't believe that's it. There must be something else I don't know yet, something I'm passionate about, something that fascinates me. A special city? Maybe a city, a hobby, a person. I just don't know. I just don't want to believe that I spend my life waking up, showering, eating, working, eating again, shopping to eat more, cleaning just to get it dirty again, eating again, watching the next episode, and then going to sleep only to start it all over the next day. Leah shook her head. I just don't think you'll find that ingredient in the next city. I mean, how many cities have you already been to in this trip? Emil looked down the street and furrowed his brow. I'll have to start counting. That proves my point, Leah triumphed. What do you mean? You're just running away from your problems. Emil laughed. Oh, is that so? I guess you see completely through me. Emil smiled at Leah and she returned his gaze, saying, I told you, we're soulmates. What do you even mean with soulmates? You're going to the home now and I'll keep traveling and that's probably it. There's a good chance we'll never even see each other again. Don't say that. No, it's true. You just say it because it feels good in the moment. But that's it. The second I'm gone, you'll say it to somebody else. Leah laughed. Are you jealous? What did you think? We're going to get married, have kids, and happy ever after? No, that's not what... Well, maybe a little bit, but I just want more. Why do you have to do this right now? Why do you have to destroy this moment? We're having a good time, right? And now you get these ideas and everything. I just thought there would be more. More what? That's it. As good as it gets. This is real life. Whatever. So go on. Keep traveling and you'll find lots of beautiful things, but you'll never find what you're looking for. And the best thing you'll really find out is that it doesn't exist. I don't think so. There's always another different city, always new people to meet, and I think there's still so much out there to explore. Sure, but it's always the same different city. It's just another unknown city. The experience is the same. You don't speak the language, you don't find the things in the supermarket. There's always the same guy snoring, the same 5 travelers. No matter how far you travel, you'll always just end up in another unknown city. Leah leaned her head back and closed her eyes, the sun shining in her face. Emil didn't answer and just looked at the flowers laying on the table. It annoyed him how beautiful they were and that there was that same boring blue. The waiter came back again and asked if they wanted anything else. Emil looked at the clock. No, thank you, I'll have to leave soon. The waiter nodded. What do I owe you? Emil asked. Altogether? Yeah, $16.50. He handed him a blue bill. Keep the change. Emil tilted his head back and took another sip of the espresso, but left a bitter taste in his mouth, not the satisfaction of the last sip that Emil had hoped for. The half-eaten carrot cake sat abandoned on the table, and Emil could see where the small fork had left its mark, little chisel in marble. What a waste, Emil thought to himself. Are you going to finish that? Leah looked at the cake. I don't think so. I've had enough. Do you want it? Emil didn't answer but asked, Didn't you like it? No, it's delicious. Try some. But you're not hungry anymore? Emil pressed on. It's just too much for me. I didn't want to spoil my appetite. It's too sweet, Leah replied. Yeah, it's a big piece, Emil said. Almost as an excuse, Leah added. They didn't have any smaller ones, but it looked so good I wanted to try it. Such a shame. Would be a waste. Leah pushed the plate towards him. Feel free to take the rest. The white cake was sprinkled with orange flakes. The little marzipan carrot had ungracefully fallen off the top. Emil shook a paper napkin over the sidewalk so that the sparrow could find something. He carefully placed it over the cake, folding the corners around it, and let the piece completely disappear in the white napkin. He grabbed it, stood up, and stuffed napkin and cake into his pants pocket. Thought about taking the flowers as well, but decided not to. Leah watched every movement without interrupting or saying anything. Emil, in one clean motion, swung the backpack over his shoulder. Their hug was short and more tentative than the first had been. The swallows flew high above the houses in graceful pendulum movements crossing the bright sky. Emil felt the hot sun on his face and the wind on his legs. He turned around one last time, but could no longer see the cafe. He walked all the way to the station to take a train to another unknown city.